Hey everybody, this is Donna Miller here from C3 Workplace. Thank you so much for joining us for a little lunchtime webinar. I am here with the fabulous Kelly Laurel. Kelly, say hello.
Hello everybody.
Yay, so we're going to talk to you a little bit today about how you can work from pretty much anywhere you want this summer. I tend to choose the beach. But we're going to talk to you a little bit about delegation and technology. And before we get started, just a little bit of housekeeping. First of all, we are recording this webinar, and you are all muted. So if you have any questions, you've got a chat window, you've got a Q&A window. We will be monitoring this as we go through the webinar. The other thing is that these are quick. These are 30 minutes, and this is going to be a lot of information coming at you in a fire hose type of format. So feel free to use that question window. If we don't get to it, we will get back to you. So many of you know C3 Workplace for the last 20-plus years, we have been helping business owners to start and grow by helping them to focus on driving revenue. We do that by providing all kinds of back office support, whether it's virtual assistance, administrative, marketing support, event execution, bookkeeping, education, as well as office and meeting space currently in 2 locations, Montclair and Sparta, New Jersey. The C3 stands for Connect, Collaborate, Community, because we have found the power of collaboration to be fuel for the success of our company, and so it's our vision to help other businesses harness the power of collaboration, connect within our community, and grow their business. And we've been doing it, as we said, for quite some time now, and it works. And it's very much aligned with our values of wanting to be a company that is a force for good. So we feel pretty blessed that we get to do all of this and leave the world a slightly better place. So again, delighted that you're here with us. We're talking about delegation and technology. So, you know, everyone, of course, would love to be able to work from anywhere, which is always a nice thing. But the reality is, in order to scale your business, you really do need to be able to embrace both technology and delegation as a way to scale your business. And there's so many reasons that you need to do that, not the least of which is, you know, being a solopreneur is a pretty hard thing. It's easy to get burnt out. It's easy to work way too many hours. And it's always a good thing to be able to take some of this unplugged time to work on your business and not just in it. Kelly I delegated creating this PowerPoint to Kelly, who did a great job, as you'll see. And that picture there is actually my feet, so that was kind of nice. And that is literally me working on the beach. I think that was Cancun this last winter. And we joke about it, but the reality is, you know, I opened my company to create some work-life integration. I think the concept of work-life balance is probably misguided. For me, it's been more about integration. And Kelly, you know, you've been here over 5 years now, and you've worked with so many business owners. You know, what is it that you're seeing as far as why people need to embrace this?
It's something that we see here a lot, and really what I see is people getting in the weeds, you're drowning in your business, and it's very easy to do that, and you know, you're surrounded by it all day, and the work-life balance is important, but sometimes it is hard to turn it off. And once I and, you know, the other receptionists and admins here, we can see it. We see it happening, and when that happens, it's hard to see the clear picture. It's hard to see the forest through the trees, you know, if you will. And it's, in that case, it's very hard to push your business forward and to get that momentum going. You get stuck, and it's hard to get through. So avoiding that burnout, I think, is probably one of the biggest things that, you know, we would recommend, because once you're in there, it can very well shut you down for a while. And it's better to just take the time and relax and refocus and just re-energize, because when you're being shut down by this work, there's nothing you can, you know what I mean, you're stuck. There's nothing you can do, you're just stagnant, and it's not a good place to be. It really messes with your headspace. It's bad for the business, it's bad for you.
Yeah, I think I think not taking a break for me, and I see it, I think it's what you're saying here as well, Kelly, is I think not taking a break actually becomes counterproductive, and I think people confuse activity with productivity, and I know for me, the reason I consistently and regularly take breaks is because when I come back from a break, I am so much more creative and strategic, and the ideas and the solutions come so much easier for me. So, let's talk a little bit about, kind of where to start. You're going to talk about training staff, and let me just precede that with kind of training yourself. And I love that you put that in here, Kelly. First of all, training yourself, the first bullet we have here is working on your MBA. And that I stole directly from Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week, which is called Management by Accents. I know for me, there is a lot that you have to do before you get there, and delegating is certainly where you need to start. But the reality is my team has really grown because I haven't been here, so they had to make decisions. So working on your MBA in a solo situation where you're working with partners and vendors, or virtual team members, it might be more about not micromanaging. It might be about focusing on the result, not the process, letting them own the process a little bit. And when we talk about delegating, and we'll talk about that throughout this process, the reality is I think the first thing you need to do to start to think about delegating is to get clear on what you can or should delegate. And we do that through a time tracking tool and a task analysis tool, which we'll talk about more during the webinar. But the reality is, sometimes you feel like you can't delegate because A, you don't have the money, or B, you don't even have the time to teach someone. But I am here to tell you that is a hamster wheel, that unless you get off of it, you will never get off of it, and it will only get worse, it will not get better. I think some of the ways you set yourself up for being able to get some help is to set boundaries, and I think setting boundaries is not only between business and personal, but I think it's also learning to say no, really, or even just learning to say, let me think about that, because is it really going to propel your company forward? Another boundary, and it's, maybe some people won't see it as a boundary, but I think it's really important to charge what you're worth and to charge as if you were hiring someone to do the work so that you have the right profit margins going in. And another tool that I use still every week, I set SMART goals. That allows me to break big projects down into these are the 3 things I'm going to do this week to work towards my goals. And we'll revisit those topics throughout. But, Kelly, you've got some great points here. The reality is before you can do all of this, you do have to train your staff or your partner. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, training is definitely a huge component before just going away. Like you said, it's the staff, it's also yourself. So the delegating the boundaries and working on the MBA, one of the things we recommend is take a day, if you do have a staff that you're there with every day, maybe schedule once a week or twice a week just to stay at home, because you'll be surprised. And I see this with myself, I see it with the other, the office staff we have here, is that when you're not there, the first instinct isn't always, let me call. A lot of the time we do want to figure it out. We do want, like, when you have a staff that is with you and is reliable, they want responsibility and they want to be able to handle these things without you. As much as they love you as a boss, as much, as you are the company, those working with you do like being responsible and having this pride of their work. So first off, literally distance yourself if you can.
And physically.
Yeah, physically, yeah.
So the reality is if you have team and you can, like Kelly said, choose to work somewhere else, there is a great amount of development happening when you're not in the room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that gets to where, my points here of training your staff. And we have a lot of great resources that we use, but throughout the PowerPoint here, we have our top picks that we like to go to, first. So the first off would be creating protocols, and that can be, what we would recommend you do is sit down with the staff member that, you are going to be delegating these tasks to, show them how to do it, and have them write the protocol. If you're just going to have a regular Word document or something along those lines, let them watch you, let them actually write it up, and then you look it over and make sure, oh, you might have missed something, oh, this is right. Just so when you aren't there, instead of them having to run to you right away, they'll have this other buffer. There's kind of the gatekeeper before they have to go to you. They have this protocol that they've created. And we at our office here have used Word documents. We like to do screenshots, so we can you put that image right into the Word document, so if it's a little confusing, they can get a snapshot of what you're talking about. And our top pick, the newest top pick, is one that I have been raving about for the past couple of weeks, is this program called Active Presenter. And I'm sure you've seen something like that in action if you Google, oh, I'm stuck on Excel, how do I do this thing? And if you go to YouTube, you see those videos all the time where someone is basically just recording their own screen. And for me, I found that's a great way to get a protocol, and, without having to write it all out. It's basically people watching you. You're just making this video. You can record, you can edit, you can highlight things, you can put notes in, you can zoom in to certain spots, and you can edit the video after you've done it, and it's free, which is really awesome. I've probably spent more than I should playing with it, but it is one of my favorite programs lately to use, and I think for creating protocols is really, it's ingenious because you don't have to put all this effort into writing or having this whole document. It's just in the video. People can watch it over and over, and it's great, and it's it helps. Definitely helpful.
Is it the type of tool where you can add audio to it?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You can speak as you're doing it, or you can add audio in afterwards.
So the reality is if our audience doesn't have staff and they need to take that first step, I agree with you. I think the person who's going to do the work ultimately should write the protocol because they own it. But if they can't, this is a really great, fast way to do it. Tell us about this top pick, Join Me.
Another thing, too, is while you're distancing yourself from the office or from the staff, as you can or if you can, one of the things in terms of training, if you're not physically there, is Join Me. That's one of our favorite picks. Is basically it's just you give a code to a person on another computer, and they can remote into your screen. So everything that you're doing on your screen, they can see in real time. And we do this all the time. We don't just use it for protocols or training. We use it with clients, right. Conversations, with myriad things. We use it a lot.
It's a virtual meeting tool. And the other thing I like about Join Me is that the link expires.
Yeah.
So it's not an open connection to your computer. It's something that will expire.
And when people are on it because there'll be an outline.
Exactly. So the reality is contingent. All of this is running virtual teams, running even staff. We consciously, over the last 5 to 6 years, have moved to the cloud. We went with our data first, then we went with our phones. Everything we do now is in the cloud. It's just so much easier to access. There could be a pretty good debate about cost. There is a cost involved for us at kind of an enterprise level. But the reality is we have so little downtime. So, we have to measure productivity too. And of course, it is so easy to access and you can get to it from anywhere. Kelly, talk about our top picks here.
Our top picks here would be Office 365, which is what we use here in the office. And Office 365 is really robust. It's not just our documentation. You can also access your entire Office suite. So if you're working remotely, you can work on Word Online, Excel, PowerPoint, the whole Office suite. And you can grant access to people who aren't part of your company. So people are able to access. You can have permissions. And it's a great and totally easy way to access everything you have from anywhere. And we've been using this. This is, why, when Donna's away, she's able to be connected, why we're able to work with clients all over the world, because we can access similar documents, when we give permissions to the other companies, and it's like we're in the same room. And so many of the functionalities are amazing. Two people can be editing at once, and it'll tell you, oh, Donna Miller is in this document. You can see her typing, so it's really like you're in the same room, and it's seamless. There's very little issue, at least that we've run into.
And Dropbox is a great starter place to store data, but that's not an email solution.
Yeah, that's just if you need to access the same documents as people in your office, see updates, if you want to see what they're doing. It's like you said, it's kind of the first step. There's even free versions. There's paid versions as well, so you can test the waters there and see how you like it.
Right. I think the other thing about taking all of your data and files to the cloud is Office 365 and probably Dropbox, but Office 365 also bridges the Mac PC issue. So we have people here on Macs and we have people here on PCs, and they're all accessing the same data seamlessly, so that's really pretty awesome. This is kind of funny because I have to say, this was literally, although I'm not that young or thin, this was me on the beach Monday. I worked from the beach on Monday. I also, in conjunction with going to Office 365, I have also gone personally from an iPad to a Surface Book Pro 4, night and day, love it, fully functional, plug it into a docking station, and I have everything. But the reality is, it is great to work from the beach, and I'm thrilled that I can do it now and then, and I'm thrilled that my team can do it, and we'll talk about, that as well. But the reality is, when you talk about delegating, what I always say to people is, first of all, two things. When you start the process of thinking about delegating, there is a cost involved, so you need to invest in your business so that you can get to the place you want to go. If you're going to delegate, if you're going to bring on back office or administrative help or whatever you're going to bring on, do some task tracking, focus on what drives the business forward, outsource or delegate that which is not a good use of your time. So if you were to delegate clerical tasks and say you could gain back 5 hours a week, and that's 20 hours a month, your job to make sure you get an ROI, return on investment, is to make sure those 20 hours are going to be focused on driving the business forward so that you will create better results. So when you think about delegating, first of all, be very strategic about it. Exactly what am I going to delegate, and what is this going to look like financially as a success? But the other thing is, delegation is never, ever, ever about relinquishing control. Let me just repeat that once more. It is never about relinquishing control. It's also not about being a micromanager. I believe it's about empowering people at a level appropriately to your relationship that helps move the task or the project forward. So if I'm working with someone brand new, I'm not going to give them full authority. I might ask them to research on something and report. Maybe if I've been working with them, I'm going to ask them to research, report, and make a recommendation. Then, I'm going to take the delegation through the process. Very often, one of the ways I delegate is financially. When I go away, I say to the team, if you can fix it in 5 hours or for $500, don't call me. So give people clear parameters when you're delegating. What is it that they can do? What is it that you're not comfortable with them doing? And that takes time, and you start small and you move it up the ladder. And you do need to track progress. You need to have virtual meetings. We'll talk about social media a little bit. So it's staying connected but unplugged, which sounds a little impossible, but it's really not. We have a lot of tools that we use to do that. So, Kelly, talk to us a little bit about these tools that we use as a team to delegate and, kind of still know what's going on.
Yeah, these two top picks of ours are, again, programs that we ourselves use on a daily basis. So for the first, keeping track of projects and client accounts and employees as well, is Asana. And Asana is a really excellent website where you can get your whole team on there, and it's like a to-do list. It's a delegation website where you can see what everyone's working on, you can write notes, you can attach documents, you can create projects, different projects for different people. There's so much functionality for it. And each person has their task list, which you being the administrator, and just being connected, you can view everybody else's task list. You can see where they are in the process. You can see when they've completed. You can see due dates. There's basically, it's a snapshot of whatever you've delegated. You can see a snapshot of it right from your dashboard, and you can kind of keep tabs on, oh, well, you missed the deadline, what's going on, or, oh, that's great, you finished it 2 days ahead. Maybe let's start planning next steps, see what else you've got coming down the line. And that is our Asana site, which we have our whole team on right now.
Yeah, it's not unlike a Basecamp project management, and whether you choose Asana or Basecamp or whatever project management software you like, it's a great way to delegate, to be able to look back and see things. The other thing I think that Asana does is it eliminates emails because you can comment instead of emailing, and then it's related right to that particular project. You can insert documents. But I know my team loves it because they get a lot less 5 a.m. emails from me with ideas of things I want to talk about. So we also use it to create meeting agendas.
And it also feels so good when you can hit the button for complete. It's a thrill, I gotta tell you. And then to go along with Asana, a nice complement to it is what we use every day as well as T-sheets. And if you've been on a webinar with us before an event, you hear us raving about it because it's great. It's kind of a
it really has become a core platform for much of what we do. So what we are able to do with T-sheets is it is time tracking. So with one staff entry, they are both tracking client billable or non-billable time, and that is being used to do invoicing. It's being used to do payroll. It's being used to do tracking PTO and time off. And the other thing is, I talked earlier on in the webinar about using tools to track what you're doing to figure out what to delegate. T-sheets is a really inexpensive tool to do that. You can track your own time very easily. And it's important to track the billable time, but I personally think it's even more important to track the non-billable time, because very often, I mentioned before about charging what you're worth, you really have to know exactly how much time is going into whatever it is you're delivering. It's not just the time that you work on execution of the project, it's the marketing, it's the travel time, it's the ramp up, it's the staff meetings that you have. So T-sheets is a good way to track what employees are doing, but also it's a great way to figure out what you should be delegating and what you should be charging, which I think is equally important. We are T-sheets partners, and if you go to the C3 Workplace website, you will see that we love it so much that we pay for your first 2 weeks or month.
About a month, yeah.
But there's a link on the website, and you can take advantage of that. We can help you get it set up, and T-sheets has world-class support. We really love this company, and that's why we're a partner. So between this project management and this time tracking, it is a way to tie this all together. And I love this. I want to be at that conference table.
I know. Oh my God, that's it.
And we, as an organization, C3 Workplace has anywhere from 15 to 18 employees and partners at any given time. So, and they're all over the place. Some work in Montclair, some work in Sparta, some work at home. So I am a big believer that one of the biggest parts of delegating is communication. And if you can't meet face-to-face, you need to have virtual meetings. You know, I don't believe, especially early on in a relationship, that you can possibly over-communicate. I always say when you're in a new relationship, assume nothing and check everything until you realize you no longer have to do that. And then that takes you further up that delegation model of giving more and more responsibility to the person you're working with. And now when you're talking about working with kind of an outside vendors, or perhaps you're looking for an administrative back office company to help you, the other thing is when you're communicating, they should be telling you what corners you should be seeing around. So the reality is these delegation relationships need to be bringing value. If you have brought on someone that needs so much management, that's not a good fit, and that would come under the hire slow, fire fast category. If it's a bad fit, if it's a bad fit, just, you know, nicely end it. But the reality is having virtual meetings is one of the ways that you can stay connected. So Kelly, talk to us about these top picks.
Our top picks here, the Skype for Business or just regular Skype, our Skype for Business is with our Office 365 suite. So it kind of connects with everything there. We can see people's calendars, we can see their schedules. There's video chat. There's also just instant messaging chat, which is great around the office if, you know, you don't want to be on across the office at your coworker. And it's great, you know, from anywhere, any platform. You can use any kind of hardware you have, you know, that does video meetings.
Yeah, the thing is that Microsoft bought Skype.
Yeah.
It got integrated into, so Skype for Business is what used to be, I think, Link.
Yes.
On the Office 365 suite, so it's all merging.
But if you have regular Skype, you can still communicate with people who are on Skype for Business, so it's great multi-platform. And then the other one is Zoom, which we've just really started using a lot, and it's very similar. It's video conferencing. And
yeah, what I really like about Zoom, we use Zoom for our virtual meetings, and the reason we do that is because it's a great video platform that does not have any of that lag that you sometimes see. But also, if some of my team members are in their car, they can just call in for the audio portion. So what I like about it is you can have a blend of people who are just on the phone and people who are on video. So we're really liking Zoom. And we record the meetings, and then we can send them to people who could not attend the meeting. So, you know, we've kind of got an administrative side of our house and a bookkeeping side of our house, and we have regular meetings and we record them, and that's really been working great for us, and the team members really like it. And again, oh my goodness, it's free. Yeah. It's amazing. So now here's a little area where it's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine. Social media, I often refer to as the rabbit hole of, oh my goodness, how did 3 hours just pass? So one of the ways that I set boundaries around social media is I recently took Facebook off of my phone because it's like, I don't know, it's like bubble gum for the brain. It's not a productive use of my time. Certainly I need to be involved in social media, but I don't need to wake up and hit my phone and look at Facebook. That's just not really good.
And you've all done it.
Admit it, you've done it. So Kelly, talk about from a top picks in the technology, how can we right-size the amount of social media time so that it's business building if that's what we want to do with it?
Yeah, the thing with social media is it is a necessary evil, especially, in business. You have to have a presence, you have to maintain it, people are watching, people are on, as you know. So I would say if you want to take time to get away, set boundaries for yourself, like Donna's great example. Take it off your phone. Schedule time on your calendar to check in. Do not have alerts pop up on your phone. Don't do it. Don't do it. And so our top pick, and it goes with our second point here, is pre-scheduling the posts. We use Hootsuite, which is a really great tool. it's not just for Facebook, it's for all of your social media accounts. You can have Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, almost everything you're on. I think even WordPress is connected. It can connect to you know, a wide range of your social media accounts. And what's great about it is you can pre-schedule. You can have a dashboard set up where it's a snapshot of everything going on in just this one view. So you can have columns, you know, on Facebook, this person liked you, this person commented. And you can actually comment back and like back from Hootsuite. You don't actually have to go to Facebook if you're one of those addicts, you know, that kind of gets a hit and they're on for a couple hours. You can have this barrier in the form of Hootsuite, so you can see everything, work directly from there, and it's a great, and it also has analytics, which is also, you know, a great tool to have if you aren't using that yet. So pre-schedule on your calendar, and then use software like this where it's a buffer, and you can do everything from this one central location, and you won't get swept up on your Twitter feed or your Facebook feed or LinkedIn or wherever you get stuck. It's a nice place to live when you don't want to waste your life away on Facebook.
Right. So I think Kelly used a word which I like. I said boundaries, she said barriers, and the reality is you have to put one or the other in place. Use the appropriate tool. So this, like I said, is kind of a fire hosing of information. Next Wednesday, we are also doing a lunch and learn in our Montclair office where we take a deeper dive into this conversation of delegation and technology. It's more interactive. We get to demo some of the things. So you can visit our website, c3workplace.com, go to the events page, and sign up for that. We would love to see you there. The other thing is, when you are working with all these different hosted solutions, getting them to talk to each other and eliminate redundancies is a really great way to streamline your business and have more time to do the things you want to do. That's something that we would love to help you get set up and execute. We do a workflow assessment that we would be happy to do for you. You could just contact either Kelly or myself, and we will be happy to set up. Basically what we typically do is set up like a 15-minute phone call, get a sense of where you're at, where you're trying to go. Does it make sense for us to kind of have a longer conversation? Any of you who know us know we are so not the hard sell kind of organization. We are all about creating win-win scenarios. So we thank you for joining us today for this rapid-fire webinar. We hope that you will take away one or two tips that you will implement so that you too can really enjoy this summer and get out and take advantage of owning your own business and being able to have some flexibility. So Kelly, great job. Any final words?
Just what you said, you went into business for yourself for a reason. Never forget it, and don't lose yourself in that business. Make sure that you retain that life, because that's what you did it for.
Absolutely. Our businesses should fuel our lives, not the other way around. So thank you all for joining us, and we will see you on the next webinar. Take care, everyone.